In this video, I'm going to be going into drop effects for pickups. So what this entails is this effect here, the bobbing up and down of the weapon, also the collision and the ability to drop a weapon, such like that, and the collision that makes it bobs up and down again. So we can throw it, it hits the ground, it enables the effect, starts bobbing up and down again, pick it up, it goes back to our hand, and we can keep on going on all day. So, the first thing is we want to drop the weapon. So what this does, so if I get to the weapon controller, so it checks to see if the player wants to drop the weapon, and if it does, it calls the weapon's version of drop. If this was overridden, then it would call the higher version first and go back down and down and down. So with this, first of all, let's skip over this for a second. So when we drop it, we want to get rid of some UI elements, which is pretty standard because they're not going to be useful to us when we don't have a gun. So now we're going to drop the weapon. So with the weapon, we remove it from the weapon controller because we don't have a current weapon. The weapons won't have a parent because we want it to be in the scene. And then we update the bullet image because we have no gun anymore. We set some flags and we apply some gravity and some force to it to make it move away from the player. So this does, it drops the weapon and nothing happens until the weapon hits the floor. So when the weapon hits the floor, this is called the on trigger enter. Same with the virtual drop. If this is overridden, that would be called first and this last, depending if you use the base keyword and call this explicitly, implicitly, no, explicitly, because we want to have it on the screen. So it's this bottom line here. That to-do has been solved. There's two different collisions for the item drop. They're very similar in how they work, but ultimately they do slightly different things. So we can't group them in as one collision method. So essentially it's saying if it hits the floor and it's been thrown, we want to enable the drop effect. This is overridden from the base item effect. The item effect also is for pickups as well, such as this is just for generic pickups. So it just calls the start and then it sets the drop pause. So essentially is that's for the bobbing, so we know the origin from where to bob from. So now we've got this. This is just making sure we have a certain component. There was a bug here where it wouldn't fall properly. This is what solves it. It's only for the weapon. For normal item effects it works perfectly fine. So run here. So this is just the code that sets up the gun ready to be animated through code through the bob effect. So this turns the gun from the model we see in the player's hand to the slightly shrunk version inside like the blue circle. So this is the set of code that just detects if it's been thrown, hits the ground, and then finds where the gun hit the ground so it knows where to bob from. And then we call this. And then we enable the drop effect. We get rid of the gravity, the velocity. We let the thing bob up and down. And then essentially it's just setting itself up for the update method. Because the update method, it's not a lot. It's just if the item is a can bob, it will. There was a bug here as well that gets rid of an edge case where things wouldn't animate properly through code. Just resolves it. So calc effects is where the majority of the code is which animates the bobbing. So no keyframes, no animators, it's just strictly moving the position. So the bob amount, this is from the origin of where the gun fell. So if it fell precisely on 000, when it hits the floor, there's code which lifts it up off the floor, depending on how big the sphere is, how much you want it to bob, so it entails that no matter where you drop it, it will always calculate a certain height that it will never clip into the floor when it's bobbing at its lowest point. Now we know we can the specific height, we can just add the sine wave based bob. So sine waves goes to positive to negative, which gives a nice up and down movement. And also we just constantly rotate it to the right over time. It's been made into a variable, so you can speed up or slow down how fast you want it to rotate. Then you just apply the bobbing up and down, up and down. So that's it for this video. For the next video I'm going to go into more detail about other dropped items such as loot and the generic base class for all items.